Thank you for joining us on Nationwide, reaching you on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed Nigeria's enduring commitments to upholding, promoting and protecting democratic values and principles. Addressing a virtual global summit on democracy convened by U.S. President Joe Biden, the president said institutions that underpin a resilient democratic society will also be strengthened. He said since coming to power in 2015, his administration has been able to introduce mechanisms to ensure free, fair and credible elections, while key anti-corruption agencies have also been strengthened. Despite the nation's democratic achievements, President Buhari, however, said Nigeria continues to face the challenge of insecurity, which poses a threat to democracy. He therefore called on global partners to support the federal government in its efforts at tackling insurgency and terrorism. The president assured world leaders of his commitment to putting in place necessary mechanisms to ensure that Nigeria records another peaceful transfer of power to an elected democratic government by ensuring free, fair and transparent elections in 2023. Meanwhile, the federal government is exploring more ways of achieving technological advancements in the country with the collaboration of a Russian software development company. The Russian team was asked the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and was received by the Permanent Secretary, Bitrus Nabasu. The Permanent Secretary says although there is an existing MOU with the Russian government on different areas of collaborations, there is need for more to be explored.
We have taken ICT as a way to diversify our economy. So you partner with organizations like the Russian Software Trade House will be a welcome idea, development to the nation's economy.
And we're here just to understand how we can help and what do you need and what we can suggest to you. We don't want to just to be a movie shop suggesting we can do you this. And I'm sure that politically, for both sides, I mean for Nigeria and for Russia, will be very good. Not just to say common words that we are happy to cooperate, we are going to cooperate, but to show some real, maybe very small, but real steps in our cooperation.
ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports that representatives of the parastatals under the ministry also used the interface to mention possible areas of collaboration, which included software and hardware capacity building to improve local content. And reactions have continued to trail the Federal Executive Council's approval of the immediate deployment of regulatory systems in the telecommunications industry. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson, who spoke with some experts in the field, says they are of the view that addressing the nation's security concerns has become more urgent.
Hello, Uncle.
Receiving international calls with Nigerian numbers displaying on the phone screen has over the years been said to be one of the cloning methods online fraudsters employ to defraud unsuspecting Nigerians. While some have fallen victims of these acts, others complain that their privacy and data have been compromised while making business transactions online. These security challenges have raised serious concerns, not just for the safety of Nigerians, but the nation's integrity. Finally, a bold step towards halting cloning of mobile phone numbers is here, the deployment of regulatory systems. For these experts, it is a welcome development.
In trying to regulate and protect the space, the criminals are actually actively trying to take a step ahead. So the government needs to be constantly ahead of them.
So I think what the federal government could do is also try to take it a step further and localize this implementation. With this new approval that has been given, the whole point is that it will cut down on this issue that the telco industry, and which has a hand in cybersecurity, has been dealing with.
It will prevent identity theft. It will prevent impersonation attacks. It will also prevent privacy violation. And then it will also help people to secure their data.
Call it a tech battle, and you won't be wrong, because while the bad guys use technology to clone or illegally terminate international calls to defraud telecoms companies and phone users, an act experts call SIM box fraud, the federal government is taking a fight to them, technologically of course. Suffice it to say that the digital space is about to be fired up, and hopefully for good. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly comes the report that Senate has reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring the provision of the legal framework and bills that will stimulate the social and economic advancement of the country. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, disclosed this in a message to a public hearing on 2 bills before the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Muribiring has the story.
The bills are that for the establishment of a Chartered Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering of Nigeria, and that for the establishment of an Integrated Data Management Commission.
The 2 bills are therefore about change and the need to respond to them to enable efficiency and productivity of service delivery, leading to the stimulation of social and economic advancement of our country.
Our business is to take note of all your submissions and reactions, and then we go back to the committee level, based upon which we'll be making our submissions to the Senate.
In their various submissions, stakeholders raised concerns on both bills.
The bill as presently presented did not in any way recognize other already existing bodies, and that is counterproductive.
For the Institute to now transform itself into a standard-making organization will be very chaotic, because which standard for engineering or which aspect of engineering is it actually going to concentrate on?
I believe the idea of a data management commission should kind of be more to harmonization system.
Recommendations from the hearing will be plenary for further legislative action. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribirin, NTA News.
And the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says the commission did not come up with the cost of party primaries by political parties. He stated this shortly after he met the House Committee on Appropriations. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Ogunshola reports.
Rising from the closed-door meeting with members House Committee on Appropriations, the INEC boss ran into journalists who were anxious to extract information from him regarding electoral process as contained in the electoral bill currently awaiting presidential assent.
INEC did not come up with any cost for the conduct of primaries by political parties by direct method. We have had very good discussions with the Committee on Appropriations of the National Assembly pursuant to the resolution of the House.
But does INEC have the capacity to conduct primaries for all the political parties?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
On his part, Chairman House Committee on Appropriations says the meeting was to enable legislators take informed decisions on key issues.
One is requirement for 2023 election. Secondly, on direct or indirect primaries. And on the direct or indirect primaries, in what we discussed with him, he specifically told us the role of INEC in direct or indirect primaries is just minimal.
Meanwhile, Speaker, House of Representatives, represented at a public hearing on 5 bills by the House Committee on Agricultural Production and Services, says the House will not relent in supporting legislations that can improve agricultural practices.
Our ability to do this depends on how well we can collaborate to ensure that the bills that emerge from this process are well thought of, effectively written, and capable of meeting the intended objectives.
If at least we can coordinate agriculture into a better use, I believe we can employ most of the use instead of them pressuring the government.
The committee had at an investigative hearing directed the acting managing director, Bank of Agriculture, to provide details of all beneficiaries from the Anchor Borrowers Program. This decision was taken after a revelation the monies disbursed under the program are yet to be paid back. From the National Assembly, Dayo Gunshola, NTA News.
The chairman, Southeast Governors Forum and Ebonyi State Governor Chief David Umahi has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for not signing the new electoral bill into law. Governor Umahi gave the commendation when the Registrar and Chief Executive, National Examinations Council, NECO, Professor Anthony Ibrahim Mushishi, paid him a courtesy visit in Abakaliki. Chika Okuri reports.
Among other amendments, the proposed bill is seeking an approval for political parties to elect their candidates for general elections through direct primaries. According to Governor David Umahi, the move, which is a mimic to democracy, would rather make political parties powerless. He urged the National Assembly to weigh the legal implications of the amendments.
We just truncate our democracy. There is no doubt about that. Nobody has considered the confusion that will arise out of that, because everybody that contests the election will want to go to.
Chief Umahi, who welcomed the Registrar, National Examinations Council, NECO, Professor Dandati Ibrahim Wushishi, said registration of all NECO examinations in the state is non-compulsory. Professor Dandati Ibrahim Wushishi eulogized Governor David Umahi for complementing efforts of the federal government and repositioning education, which has resulted in Ebonyi State registering the highest number of candidates in this year's basic education certificate examination in the entire country.
Ebonyi State recorded the highest number of candidates for basic, and their performances were wholly exceptional. This is in line with the Catch Them Young policy, as it is enshrined in the National Policy of Education.
The meeting, indeed, availed the stakeholders the opportunity to assess the performances in relation to redefining the future of the Nigerian child. In Abakaliki, Chika Okori, NTA News.
Now, African leaders are making frantic efforts to strengthen collaboration in areas of security and the containment of coronavirus pandemic, which is now resurfacing with variants of global concern. Abubakar Akwanga reports that this came to the fore during the 2021 African Peace Forum in Dakar.
Reiterated here my full support.
Some of the issues that elicited key decisions from regional leaders centered on peace, security, and the ravaging COVID-19, with a call for collaborative efforts to close existing gaps, especially on the recent flight ban on countries with outbreak of Omicron variant.
Let me reiterate here my full support against any form of discrimination or isolation in relation with the new variant Omicron.
I also got some calls from Europe, and the calls were so paternalistic. They were saying, "Hello, President Ramaphosa, we've heard about this Omicron. I am sorry to tell you that we are banning travel to Europe from South Africa and Southern Africa."
Travel bans and others will not work, because already some of those countries that are putting in place these bans already have them in their countries. So their argument is they're slowing the process, but we're not of the view that it'll really make any difference.
These leaders are also strengthening capacities to subdue the pressure of economic downturn and create sustainable network for advancing states and regional interests. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Credible leadership that is capable of addressing the needs of the vast majority of the citizenry is the surest way to surmounting the challenges of security in Nigeria. This is part of the issues put forward at the fourth quarter meeting of the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council. Haman Jabani reports.
It is not a mere handshake or a hug, but an avenue to express friendship and brotherhood that seeks to address the insecurity and ensuring peace in the country, with the convergence of kinetic and non-kinetic apparatus that will see to the success of the fight against insecurity. The team, NIREC, security agencies and peace, also seeks to use religion to give hope and reshape the support and identification within the nation's policies and programs through the pulpit to mobilize and sensitize adherents.
Know that you have a problem, you have half of the solution. And the earlier we rise up to the occasion, come together, the better for us. How do we come together? It's not by putting aside our differences. God does not make mistakes when He created us differently.
If you are talking of collateral damage and you are happening things on collateral damage for pursuing criminals, then you are giving the criminals a field day to continue to operate with impunity.
For the government and other stakeholders, much more measures have been put in place to ensure security and peace in the country.
Nigeria successfully fought 2 periods of recession and the devastating effects of COVID-19 pandemic and kept our economy afloat while expanding opportunities for improved livelihood. Today, we now produce staple food to feed our teeming population. What leads to insecurity are things, poverty, famine. This young little girl may live without a future because the people that are supposed to think for her are doing nothing.
Haman Jabani, NTA News.
Security is indeed everybody's business. Let's now join Adeola in our Lagos Network Center for stories from there. Hello, Adeola. It's over to you.
Thank you, Lami. Having the right attitude as individuals and societies rather than enacting more anti-corruption laws represents a more potent force against the culture of graft and abuse of office. Promoting this, experts believe will set Nigeria and indeed the rest of the world on the path towards achieving this year's Anti-Corruption Day mandate, which seeks to build solidarity against corruption through shared responsibility. Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
When President Muhammadu Buhari took on the reins of power and announced the determination of his administration to fight corruption, many Nigerians who are familiar with his distaste for graft probably expected him to wipe out the deep-seated culture of corruption from the country's landscape.
If you do the right thing, the other person do the right thing, the country will be a better place.
A tree cannot make a forest. No matter how strong it is, it cannot be everywhere. Do your parts, I do my part. While the expectations of most Nigerians may be described as positive, in view of the negative impact of corruption on the socio-economic life of Nigerians, experts believe these Nigerians disregard their responsibility to watch out, see and say something.
There is still need for a lot of civic education of ordinary citizens who are involved in retail corruption, and civic education against our leaders who are leading the pace.
As of today, Nigeria ranks 149 on Global Corruption Perception Index for 2020 and has some of our citizens referenced in the recent Pandora Papers, despite having about 30 anti-corruption agencies led by the EFCC, ICPC and Code of Conduct Bureau. What this ranking means is that laws and institutions alone cannot win the war against graft.
Until and unless we begin to instruct our children, our pupils in schools, to observe the best, most possible disposition towards things of honesty, candor, transparency, we are not going to fight corruption effectively.
For Nigeria to fully benefit from this year's celebration theme, the government is expected to meet the people halfway by tinkering with provisions and sanctions in some obsolete laws.
A private person should be able to obtain the power of attorney to bring to book anyone who is found culpable.
We do not have whistleblower protection law in place, So the lives of some of the witnesses are not safe.
The media, as a fourth estate of the realm, is also expected to drive the rebirth by holding up the light through investigative journalism. In Lagos, Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
Investing and planning for life after retirement while in service is imperative to avoid being caught in the web of poverty and have a meaningful life. This was reiterated at a St. Fourth and end-of-year party organized by the management of NTA Lagos Network Center in partnership with Betex Communications Limited for retirees and staff of the organization. Amaka Owo reports.
Everything that has a beginning has an end, and so it was time for the management and staff of the NTA2 Lagos Network Center, under the leadership of the Zonal Director, Lawal Ahmed, to celebrate and appreciate contributions of these retirees of the Nigerian Television Authority after 35 years of meritorious service.
As we recognize the varying contributions of the members of staff who have continued to show hard work, never seen before commitment to the ideals of the NTA to LNC.
Former Executive Director Marketing of the NTA also graced the occasion.
Your experiences will speak for you. Your experiences here will work for you. Life still goes on.
The Chief Executive Officer, Betex Communications Limited, who contributed immensely to the success of the event, says NTA family should remain united.
Show love, kindness, peace in you, unity.
Retirees and management staff in unison cut the cake. These special group of persons were given special parting gifts as a sign of appreciation.
NTA have sent me out of this country to almost 27 different countries, so I've kicked kudos to NTA.
I'm very, very, very happy. In fact, I'm short of words to say.
God did it, so I give God all the glory.
I thank God for today, that I started well, and I used my leg to walk out from the premises.
Members of staff also got gift items. Raffle draw also added to the take-home package. With lots to eat and drink, members of staff had fun, with their hearts full of gratitude. In Lagos, Samaka O, NTA News.
It was indeed a glorious one. Well, that's it from Lagos. We'll take a break and the news will continue with Lami in Abuja when we return. To stay on.
The 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is here again. The Nigeria Armed Forces work tirelessly day and night to give us peace to go about our businesses. Some have paid the supreme price. Should we forget the families and loved ones they left behind? No.
I am therefore privileged to honor these veterans who devoted most of their lives, active lives, to securing the nation and the world at large.
So, let's support the Nigerian Armed Forces and their families, corporate organizations, government agencies, parastatals, and individuals. Let's show our love and support for our armed forces. They are our heroes. Buy the Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem and donate into the Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem Appeal account. We love you, and your labor and sacrifice will not be in vain for spilling your blood for us to live.
The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria is here to help you succeed. Smedan gives you entrepreneurship training that will make your business grow big. It can create access to finance. Smedan can help you prepare a good feasibility study and link you up with the finance institutions that will fund your business. It can also create access to market through local and international trade fairs, opportunity fairs, and exhibitions. Smedan also organizes programs to identify innovative entrepreneurs and promote their business ideas. Contact us at Plot 35, Port Harcourt Crescent, Area 11, Garki, Abuja, or visit our website www.smedan.gov.ng.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk, app for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
It's a trip back to Anfield for Steven Gerrard as he takes his new team to face the Reds. This Saturday, it's Liverpool versus Aston Villa on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
Many thanks for staying tuned. The National Human Rights Commission will be adequately supported in the execution of its mandate of safeguarding the human rights of the Nigerian population, assisting victims of human rights violations, and helping the governments in the formulation of policies on human rights. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance while granting audience to the Governing Council and management of the National Human Rights Commission. Details of that report will come your way in subsequent bulletin. Now, at the heart of human rights lie the principles of equality and non-discrimination, which the International Human Rights Commission is championing on the occasion of this year's International Human Rights Day. The world body is using the theme of this year, which is equality, to recognize some Nigerians who have distinguished themselves as heroes and champions of human rights. Olabode Arewa has the story.
Despite several legal instruments that protect people's rights, such actions are not unusual these days in Nigeria and some other countries of the world. The protection of human rights is again on the front burner, courtesy of the International Human Rights Commission, which appraised efforts to reform the process of granting bail to suspects.
Section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, guarantees to all persons accused of having committed one offense or the other the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Every Nigerian, high or low,
suspected person, or a suspect rather, is arraigned before a court which lacks requisite jurisdiction. By this practice, the person is left in prison or custody without the right to bail and without fair trial.
The recognition of heroes of democracy is coming on the heels of concerns over the non-domestication by states of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, which is a key legal instrument in ensuring efficient justice delivery.
But I know that one of the areas which is so interested in is for you to use your good office to create a text in the first enterprise so that we can collect reports of your men who go out there to protect the citizen, and in the process fall victim of different hazards. Some of them die, some of them are with permanent injury.
The forum also wants synergy between the prosecuting agencies and the judiciary towards producing a more acceptable biometric record of Nigerians, which is a key way of identifying suspects. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Now, in marking the International Human Rights Day, the National Human Rights Commission is drawing the attention of the public on the various human rights violations and the need to promote equality of all citizens. Omenka Hamarachko has the story.
This work is to commemorate this year's International Human Rights Day with the theme Equality, Reducing Inequality, Advancing Human Rights. The day was preceded by 16 days activism on ending violence against women and children. Human rights abuses has been on the increase in recent times. This, the National Human Rights Commission says, must stop.
Anywhere on this planet, we have the same rights to life, health,
and education.
With the current rating that Nigeria has, unfortunately, we still have challenges. We are not sure whether it will affect our next round of rating, but we are working very hard to overcome them.
It's also a lot we have done through some public hearings. You remember the case of those motorcycle riders that were killed in Apo, where the Commission gave a recommendation which has been obeyed by the government.
International Human Rights is celebrated globally on every 10th December to commemorate the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly. In Abuja, Omeka Marchuku, NTN.
And joining me now in the studio to speak to the issues arising from the International Human Rights Day is the Director, Human Rights Institute, National Human Rights Commission, Ifeoma Nwakama MNI. Ma'am, you're welcome to the studios of NCA Nationwide.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's begin this way. Nigeria has joined the rest of the world to mark the International Human Rights Day. How is your commission tackling the various cases of human rights in Nigeria?
Well, the National Human Rights Commission receives complaints of human rights violations, human rights abuse from different persons. And what we do is that we investigate such complaints, and then after our investigation, we recommend for redress of the complaints. Apart from the complaints that come to us, proactively we promote human rights by identifying human rights issues that need, to be discussed, for awareness to be created on certain human rights issues, so that people become aware of their rights, and the right givers, the persons who are supposed to give the rights to the persons, will be able to know that persons have these rights and they need to have the rights. Yes, please.
You mentioned awareness. Now, what is the current rating of Nigeria on the Human Rights Compliance Index?
I am not sure that I know the rate, but I know that increasingly Nigerians are becoming aware of their rights. We were not where we were 10 years ago, because 10 years ago people didn't know, people even rejected the issue of rights, because Nigerians didn't believe that human rights is something that can be practiced within the country. We had so many other issues, but increasingly people are beginning to know about their rights and insist on claiming those rights.
We thank you very much for sharing those insights.
Yes, thank you very much.
That was Ifeoma Nwakama MNI, the Director with the Human Rights Institute, National Human Rights Commission. Moving on now, the initiative of the federal government and Central Bank of Nigeria to revolutionize cotton production and revive textile industries in the country is recording what is described as a major success. The success story is coming at a time more than 39,000 hectares of cotton was cultivated in 17 states across the country. Musa Babaliu has the details.
Out of the 39,000 hectares of cotton under cultivation in 17 states this year, this plantation in Wase, Plateau State, is the biggest. It is about 7,000 hectares. The plantation is used for the flag of this year's harvest.
And thank God Almighty for the yield that He was able to give us here in Wase.
This is expected to further boost cotton farming in Nigeria under the diversification policy of the federal government.
We increased our yield per hectare.
Anebia Chimugu, the president of Cotton Farmers Association, said the initiative will revive ginaries and textile industries that have been in comatose.
Stay clear of our cotton farms, stay clear of our farmers, stay clear of our seed cotton. We want to pass it through the system. There's a linkage between the cotton farmers and the ginners with the textile with the garmenters, and the garmenters do the first target market of the central bank is the uniform services of Nigeria.
The cotton that is being produced here will be taken to Kuru, which will be processed into lint. In the processing of the lint, they also have the cotton seeds.
The integrated efforts.
Economists are of the view that if cotton farming is completely revived, it would not only improve the economy, it will also provide job opportunities for millions of Nigerians. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
A presidential delegation was among recent callers at the residence of late Mukhtar Adnan Sarkinbay in Dambata to condole with the family of the First Republic parliamentarian and traditional ruler. Abdullahi Mustafa witnessed the arrival of the delegation in Dambata and sent in this report. Well, this report is being packaged. We shall bring it to you in the course of the bulletin. Now, erosion-ravaged communities in Nasarawa State are receiving attention with the construction of stormwater drainages and channels to reclaim the areas. Abigail Bashi reports that the project is being executed under the Nigeria Erosion Watershed Management Project, NUMAP.
Erosion has remained a major threat to the socio-economic well-being of the people, especially during the rainy season, which has defiled several correction measures in the past. But the stepping in of watershed projects is gradually changing the narrative, with priority areas of Shinge, Rice Mill, Emir's Palace and other prune areas as pilot scheme. Residents of the affected areas welcome the intervention and call for more commitment. State government is providing technical and other level of support to ensure speedy delivery of the project.
70% is completed at behind Emir Palace, as we will see later, and the work is now ongoing at Angwanungu area.
Project engineer Rafet Rafi says his team is working round the clock to deliver the project according to specifications. The project is a long-term plan to cover the state's capital. In Lafia, Abigail Bashi, NTA News.
From there, we move to Dubai, where Nigeria's pavilion at the ongoing Dubai Expo 2020 has continued to receive a good share of visitors as the global event, drawn in there to have a feel of what Nigeria is showcasing. Anthony Forson reports.
The Dubai Expo 2020 has emerged as the first World Expo where every participating country has its own pavilion. With 190 countries participating, the Nigerian pavilion has been receiving visitors in droves.
We are proud of Adekunle, Salas Adekunle, and also the Rich Education Program as well. And they're absolutely fantastic in building these robots.
The last few hours we were strolling here through the opportunity area, which is very interesting.
It's really amazing to see your pavilion. It's really good. Good stuff, all. It's very nice. If I get an opportunity, definitely I'll visit Nigeria.
What is on display, you may ask?
We're trying to bring more made-in-Nigeria products that we can showcase to the world.
Nigeria's architecture, manufacturing, mining, oil and gas, arts, entertainment and movie are on display.
We've had a lot of high-profile guests who have shown a lot of interest from different countries, particularly the UAE and the Arab world.
With Mr. President's agenda on diversification from oil to non-oil export, we'll look forward to a kind of connecting and then trying to woo investors back to the country.
Going around the Nigerian pavilion to see what is on display, the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, said he never expected anything less.
We are showcasing those huge potentials and achievements of Nigeria in this pavilion. And I'm glad that since we've been here, we've seen a lot of traffic. People have taken a lot of interest in our agricultural products. Many people see for the first time what a Benin seed is. Some are seeing the cocoa pod for the first time, and they are asking questions and they are showing a lot of interest in our agriculture, in our industrial, value chain.
Nigeria's showing at Dubai Expo 2020 is another milestone for the country as a force to be reckoned with on the global stage.
I believe that not only will we overcome all our challenges, but we will be able to be a big player in the League of Nations. Because what we are saying here, either in agriculture or in the industry or in sports or in creative industry, is that we are a leader already.
The Expo Center is in 3 sub-themes as districts, namely sustainability, mobility, and opportunity where Nigeria belongs. In Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And Benin is the next stop on Nationwide. Obeyi is there with trending reports. How are you, Obeyi?
I'm very good, Lami. Thank you for joining us in Benin. The need for Nigerians to promote security consciousness, foster peace and harmony for nation building has again been emphasized. This imperative was emphasized at the National Security Sensitization Campaign Against Drug Addiction organized by the National Orientation Agency, NOAA, in Ado-Ekiti. Kola Adebobuyi reports.
It was a forum to create awareness of the importance of national security and as well bring to the consciousness of the public the need to stand against political thuggery, kidnapping, drug addiction, among other social vices. The National Orientation Agency says there is need for collective efforts to checkmate criminalities that will hamper the nation's peace.
The agency is viewing the issues of security in Nigeria through multiple lenses, linking insecurity and political violence with the increasing rate of drug abuse among our youths and young adults. No country can witness a reasonable development and economic prosperity without adequate security of lives and properties.
Stakeholders, including representatives of security agencies, as well as media practitioners, were of the view that with collaboration, security challenges confronting the nation will be tackled in the interest of all.
People go back to their community, go back to their organization, and preach this, and let me say this gospel.
The forum featured an interactive session where participants suggested ways of addressing the nation's security challenges. In Ado-Ekiti, Kola Adebobuyi, NTA News.
The Benin monarch, Oba Ewa II, has added his voice to the calls for the enactment of an audit law in the country. He believes that actualizing the audit law will ensure the independence of the Auditor's Office. He was speaking while playing host to the Auditor General of the Federation, Dr. Adolphus Agugu, in his palace.
The Benin monarch, who addressed members of the Conference of Auditors General of Nigeria, expressed his support to this course and charged them to carry out their duties without fear or favor.
And when you have good auditors and good auditor generals, keeping an eagle eye on how finances are managed, nothing serious will go wrong. So we commend your efforts.
The Auditor General informed the Oba that the conferences in Benin and emerging challenging issues are being addressed. He said enacting the audit law will strengthen the audit office. He believes that the office of the Auditor General should be detached from civil service to create room for independent audit that will translate to good governance. The visitors used the opportunity to felicitate with the Benin monarch on the first batch of return of stolen Benin bronze artifacts.
We were not too surprised that it's happening at your time because for centuries you know your diplomatic exploit.
In Benin, Ogochkuka Ona, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Nationwide continues with Doris in our Port Harcourt Network Center right after this break.
Enjoy Nigeria Expo 2021 is here for you to showcase your product, services, and skills. Learn how to grow your business, connect with customers, network with frontline entrepreneurs in your sector across Nigeria. Enjoy Nigeria Expo is holding from December 6 to 12, 2021 at the Abuja International Trade and Convention Center, Kilometer 8, Umaru Adwa Expressway, Airport Road, Abuja. For inquiry, call 009-114-3424, 009-643-0859. Enjoy Nigeria Expo 2021 is brought to you by Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Welcome to Nigeria Project and Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Enjoy Nigeria, future assured through cultural creativity.
Femi Martins, just look at this. Remember
African Cup of Nations starts on the 9th of January 2022 on NTA, powered by AfroSport. For sponsorship and advertisements, contact us on 090-9890-6913 or 090-3513-2838.
It's a trip back to Anfield for Steven Gerrard as he takes his new team to face the Reds. This Saturday, it's Liverpool versus Aston Villa on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
Welcome to Port Harcourt. All is now set for the launch of broadcast digitization in Rivers State. This is as delegation from the National Broadcasting Commission and the Integrated Television Services inspect digital equipment ahead of the launch. Robinson Daratede reports.
The DSO, which is to switch from analog to digital, is in line with the evolution in the broadcast industry, and the benefits are enormous to the broadcaster, the viewers and the government. Officials of the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) and Integrated Television Services (ITS) were at NTA Port Harcourt to inspect the installation of digital broadcasting equipment and the free TV set-top boxes meant to connect signal to the analog televisions. They are optimistic that the launch will cover up to 70% of Rivers' population.
They told us we have more than 100,000 set-top boxes, which is good for Rivers State. If they start that way, I think it is okay. We'll be able to have a breakthrough.
Usual frequency or the usual channel you're using to broadcast a single channel then will now be able to take like 16 channels. So therefore you have more content producer on board. The signal will now be clean and clear. That's the audio and the video will be clean and clear. Then you have enough spectrum at the end of the day to be given to the telecoms, and federal government is going to make a lot of money from that spectrum. And the launching will be this month likely, and the date will be announced very soon.
The box is robust enough to take more than 200 channels. So it opens for artists and Nollywood people and everybody. They can come and play in the ecosystem.
It will be recalled that the unbundling of broadcasting media organizations gave birth to the Integrated Television Services from NTA with the function to distribute digital signals, while the media houses provide only content. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Daratede, NTA News.
The Cross River State House of Assembly is stepping up efforts to stem the gender-based and other forms of violence which have become a recurring decibel in the state and the country. The House is seeking input from the public to facilitate the passage of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition and Disability Rights Bill into law. Justina Etim has details.
Violence Against Persons Prohibition and Disability Rights Bill has already scaled first and second reading in the Cross River State House of Assembly, and this public hearing is part of procedures to facilitate its passage, which the House believes will be achieved in 1 week.
We thought it wise to come up with this bill, all embedded in one called VAP, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Bill, to end all forms of violence in Cross River State.
Wife of the Cross River State Governor, Dr. Linda Ayade, decries rising cases of gender-based and other forms of violence.
We have noticed that people stop doing wrong things when they know that there's a punishment for it. But when there's no punishment, they just keep going and going. So now, if there's punishment for it and they see that that has been put into place, I believe that it will deter them and these incidences will begin to drop back.
In their contributions, stakeholders emphasized the need to make provision for compensation of survivors of gender-based violence.
You can imagine somebody molesting a 4-month-old baby, and you're allowed to leave, and you're saying they should pay fine.
The Cross River State's Violence Against Persons Prohibition and Disability Rights Bill seeks to provide a legal framework for punishment of perpetrators of violence. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
That's our beats from here. Nationwide continues with Lami in Abuja.
Many thanks, and thank you for staying tuned. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, and the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, are set to strengthen efforts on media advocacy on public health response and risk management with perspectives on the new Omicron variant of COVID-19. This was the focus of a meeting between the Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, and NTA's Director General, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, in Abuja. Olushi Adiakbo has the details.
In the last 1 year, the world over has been responding to the coronavirus pandemic, and Nigeria more with the outbreak of cholera and Lassa fever in parts of the country. Nigeria's Center for Disease Control, NCDC, mandated to protect Nigerians from the impact of these communicable diseases, believes that timely and accurate information is key to reducing their impact.
In recognition of the NTA's important role and the important contributions that the NTA has made to the success of the work we do to assure the health of Nigerians, it was important that I come here myself physically to meet, to express our appreciation for all of your help and to again seek your continued help and assistance to share the appropriate knowledge to our fellow citizens, even as we respond to the pandemic.
One of the priorities of the federal government is to ensure that COVID-19 is curtailed in this country. So while you in the medical profession, do what is required of you, you need us around you to be able to disseminate what it is that needs to be done. Like I said, we in NTA have been in the forefront. I say this without any fear of contradiction.
For the management of the national television, NTA has been at the front line for advocacy and sensitization, with a promise to always ensure constant mobilization for healthy living. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
In time to join Felicia in our Jos Network Center.
Thank you and welcome to Jos. The National Human Rights Commission is calling for an end to human rights violations. This was at a roadwork to commemorate Human Rights Day in Jos. Rinret Silvanus Lot has more.
Human rights abuses include rape, domestic violence, early marriage, sexual assault, among others. These abuses necessitated the roadwork by stakeholders calling for adequate protection of women and children.
The United Nations stands for the rights of every member of our human family, and so does the Human Rights Commission. We stand for the rights of every member of our human family. Today and every day, we will continue to work for justice, equity, dignity, and human rights for all.
Participants during the roadwork carried various placards with inscriptions: "Respect my dignity," "No means no," "Prosecute perpetrators of rape." With the theme, "Equality, Advancing Human Rights," stakeholders resolved to defend victims of injustice.
We need to imbibe the culture that, yes, we're self-disciplined than looking at the clothes and saying that is the cause of rape.
We should teach our young girls from home to appear presentable. Teach our young boys too that they should comport themselves in a manner befitting of a human being.
In Jos, Rinret Silvanus Lot, NTA News.
And that's the much we can take from Jos. Lami is back to you in Abuja for what's left of the news.
Thank you, Felicia. Now, the President Football Cup is underway in Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. These and more on our sports update.